The name of the game is Control. The point of the game is you want to get the most tokens. Shiny metal tokens. Everyone loves those. In this game, well, it depends on the player count. In a 2 to 4 player game, you want to be the first to get 3 tokens. And in a 3 player game, you want to be the first to get 2 tokens. So, at the beginning of a game, in this example, we'll do 2 players. You're going to deal 5 cards to each player. So, I'll deal to you and I'll deal to myself. So, 4 and 5. And now let's look at what we got. And basically, how you win in this game is that you are trying to be the first player to have 21 fuel cell installed in front of you. Now, what does that mean? I'll explain in a second. So, during your turn, you can take one of 4 actions. You can either draw a card, you can install a fuel cell, you can burn a fuel cell, or you can diffuse a fuel cell. So first, we'll talk about, well, we don't really need to talk about drawing a card. You just draw a card. There's no hand limit. Don't worry about it. Next is installing a fuel cell. And when you install a fuel cell, basically you're just playing a card in front of you for its value. So for an example, I'm going to install this reactor in front of me, or in front of you, and the number on the upper left-hand corner of the card is going to represent the fuel cell amount that is now installed. So you have 5, you're trying to get to 21 or higher, so do the math. There are 2 different types of fuel cell, or 2 different types of cards in this game. There's silver fuel cells, and those abilities are going to be triggered when they're installed. Gold fuel cells, those abilities are going to be triggered when they are burned. So when you install a silver card in front of you, its ability triggers. So, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. You could do this one, exotic matter, and it says you may install another fuel cell with a charge of 6 or less. So that means you can immediately throw that boy in front of you, and ba bing ba boom, look at that, 7, 11, yeah, 10 more and you're gonna win. Cool. Alright, next is burning a fuel cell. So, what does that mean? That means you're going to take a card and you are going to discard it into the middle of the table. So you're burning it. Bronze fuel cell cards abilities are going to be triggered when they're burned. So this antimatter one of my personal favorites, forces an opponent to discard a random card from their hand and then one of their choice. So you can see there's a lot of attacking in this game. This one says destroy all silver fuel cells in play, including your own. So if you were to burn that, these 2 would go bye-bye into the discard pile. And yeah. The last action you can take is diffuse a fuel cell. Now, if you need to attack the other player, but you don't have any, you don't have any bronze cards to burn or whatever, you can choose to take a card from your hand. So let's say your opponent had this anomaly installed in front of them. You could take a card from your hand, conveniently I have another anomaly, and pretty much if it's fuel cell value, or let's just say value, if its value is equal to, greater than or equal to the number here, then you can play it and you can basically diffuse them, which means I'm discarding it. So let me do a fresher example. So let's say you had this anomaly in front of you. It has a value of 4. I'm going to diffuse it with the reactor with a value of 5. 5 is greater than or equal to 4. So that means boom. Out. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. This card here shows you the number of cards, their values. There's 4 of each. Shows you what kind of fuel charge, or if they're bronze or gold. So the Nova is the highest value card in the game, but it has no power. So it's just good for installing. If ever you hit 21 or over on your turn by installing cards in front of you, so if you had 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, that's over 21, you'd get one of these tokens. As I said before, in a 2 to 4 player game, if you have 3 tokens in front of you, you win. In a 3 player game, if you have 2 tokens in front of you, you win. Okay, so during a game, this is very rare, but it can happen. If a player goes to draw a card, and that's the last card from the deck, and the whole deck is gone and empty, then you enter Sudden Death. Now, this is how Sudden Death is going to work. In Sudden Death, where the deck is gone, pretty much everyone's going to continue playing cards in front of them until everyone's out of cards. Pretty simple, right? So everyone is allowed 1 pass, and that's if you have cards in your hand. So if you have cards in your hand, you're allowed 1 pass, and then afterwards, you must play. So, yeah, I mean, that pretty much just explained all that. At the end of Sudden Death, or if you have no cards during Sudden Death, you're pretty much skipped, but you'll still come in for scoring. And if nobody has hit 21 by the end of Sudden Death, which will be when nobody has any cards left in their hand, then you are going to see who has the highest value of cards played in front of them. So who was closest to 21. In the case of a tiebreaker there, then you are going to check who has the most cards played in front of them. So let's say in this example, this was the end of Sudden Death. The math's definitely wrong here, but if you had 5 cards, I had 3, oh, you would win. And then if there was a further tiebreaker, then you would count whoever played last. And yeah, so that's how tiebreakers work. But very rare. I've only seen it once personally. Now let's talk about the 4-player version. So in the 4-player version, instead of every person against themselves, you're going to play on 2 teams of 2 people each. So it's going to be you and the person across from you, which is me, your favorite tutorial explainer. And it'll be the other 2 players. So, yep, and yep. So during the 4-player version, you are still trying to reach 21, but you do not add up you and your partner's collective points. So in this example, if you have 10 and I have 12, we do not get a point because the sum of them is 21. One player would still need to get to 21 first before any of that happens. And that's pretty much it. As I said before, in the 2 to 4 player version, you want to be the first player to get 4 coins. And in the 3 player version, you want to be the first player to get 2 coins. That's pretty much it. And the best way to learn is to play.